Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. Happy awesome Saturday to you. It is indeed awesome Saturday. We are here to celebrate the Sabbath and ultimately to have an amazing life. Thank you guys so much for being here. Good morning to everybody who is watching. Indeed, it is Saturday. It is the Sabbath, and I am here to do awesome things, hang out with awesome people, eat awesome food on awesome Saturday. Saturday is the seventh day, and it is a blessed one in my world. So thank you guys so much for being here. Today is more of a spiritual day. So I do the wake up call Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And the wake up call is very much about us achieving our goals, achieving our dreams, becoming the best versions of ourselves, and doing so by invoking that almighty name of God known as I am, and really just ascribing to ourselves the same traits that we would also ascribe to an omnipotent being. And as we do this, we recognize, our own ability to manifest that change, and that helps us to be actualized. That helps us live better lives. Well, anyways, today the topic is that life begins where fear ends, and I have that on. I have a mirror right in front of me here, little a little one of these things, but it says life begins where fear ends, and I just like to have to look at that and to see myself in it and remember that typically when I'm not doing something that I know is good for me, there's a part of me that's afraid of the man that I will become if I do that thing, or a part of me that's afraid that I won't be able to handle it. That if I go on the top of a roller coaster, it's that fear of wanting to get buckled into the roller coaster because you're not sure if you're going to make it over to the other side. Well, of course, every time that I have acted in spite of fear, that the actions have generally proven to be very good for me. And I found that as I go on through my own life, that life has indeed began where fear ended. Everywhere that I stopped being afraid of doing things, that's the place that life grows and expands. And I feel like fear itself is one of those things that encourages us to continue to play small, to continue to be the size that we used to be, as opposed to expressing ourselves in the fullness of our own spiritual understanding. And the fear, and particularly fear around religion, happens very very early. One of the I recall that I grew up as in Protestant Christianity, and one of the one of the first things that I ever learned about God in that religion was, God loves you a lot, but also if you don't love God back, that God's going to send you to hell, and hell is a bad place. And then there were people who would definitely light up your imagination with all the awfulness that is hell. And so I got this idea in my head, as do a lot of people who are in that situation, that love and fear have to be combined in some way. That there's this omnipotent force, there's omnipotent power that loves you, and also this omnipotent power that loves you would also send you to a terrible place if you don't follow a set of rules that's being told to you by the person who's also telling you about the horrible place. And so in many religions, that love and that fear, they get short circuited. And so love and fear become one and the same. But love is not fear, and fear is not love. They are different things. They're different concepts. And it just goes to show how deeply that the tying of these concepts goes together in conventional religious teaching. How we do things in religion out of a fear that something bad is going to happen to us if we don't. That we believe a certain thing because we fear that if we don't believe that thing, that something bad will happen to us. And perhaps it won't happen right now. Perhaps it won't happen until after we die. And then once we die, it's too late to make any kind of a change. And so this is a very, very common story. And this common story, the main result of religion being taught that way is that the adherents will stop doing things that they believe are displeasing to that deity because they are afraid of the consequences. Now, this has all manner of unintended consequences in life, But the main one, as I mentioned before, is that we conflate fear and love. We say, oh, well, there's this all powerful being that is all love. And this all powerful being that is all love also does things that we are afraid of because it is all powerful, has the authority to do things that we are afraid of. And so, therefore, we must love and fear at the same time. And then this manifests in our lives when we find something that we love, when we see something that we love, when we have the opportunity to engage in something we love, the first thing to come up is fear. The first thing to come up is fear, not because we are afraid of the thing that we love, but because we've been given ideas about fear and love existing, in infinite proportion in the same creative deity, and that this fear and this love are things that are conflated. They're always together in our minds. And so on this awesome Saturday, I wanted to just give you guys a little bit of a story about a walk that I did yesterday. So yesterday it was so funny. I was walking through Paradise, just kind of getting some exercise with Pepper because she's pregnant and we are just we're walking around exercising. And it was so funny because we were walking through Paradise, we were eating an apple, we were heading to the nature trail. I was like, oh, here I am walking in a place where clothing is optional, and eating an apple and heading to a nature trail. Like how Adam and Eve this is, how biblical this is, how allegorical this is. And I remember that we walked through a lot of different symbolic things. We walked through a lot of different, things which I saw as being highly symbolic as we were walking through them. But one of the interesting thing is we were walking through the historic district, and one of the people has a sign that says "Hello, sunshine," and the O is a sun, but and all the letters are red, and then the sun, of course, is yellow. And so as we were walking up, you couldn't see the yellow sun; you could only see the HELL. So it said the sign really said "Hell, sunshine." And I remember eating that apple and walking past that sign that said "Hell" and looking up and enjoying the sunshine, and thinking about how many things that I have refrained from doing subconsciously because I thought that doing so would send me to hell because of a story that somebody told me a very, very long time ago. And I recall as I was walking through this, eating this apple, enjoying this apple, which tasted delicious, and carrying a bottle of water that said "smart" on it, which to me was symbolic of the wisdom to discern between good and evil that was imparted when Adam and Eve ate of that tree, the knowledge of good and evil that existed. And it got me thinking about about how when we have that knowledge of good and evil, the Bible doesn't say that the fruit of the tree was the good and evil. It said it was the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge that existed. And it makes me think that one of the foremost side effects of understanding that good and evil exist is to judge between good and evil, is to say, well, if good and evil exist, then this is good and that is evil. This thing that I like or agree with or that is enculturated in me is a good thing, whereas this other thing that is enculturated in me is an evil thing, or this thing that is outside of my culture is evil. And we see this. I mean, if you've traveled around the world, or if you've come into contact with people who have religious beliefs that are just as fervent as yours about a completely different religion than your religion, or are a part of a faith group that is equally as passionate as you are about the thing that you believe is true, then you'll find that these dogmas exist across different religious boundaries. That every religion has some idea of be afraid of the all powerful thing that you worship. And so it was very interesting to me because as I was continued to walk past all of these signs, all of these symbolisms of hell, which was fascinating to me because in addition to that, it's Halloween weekend. There's lots of ghouls and ghosts and goblins and witches and things of that nature. There are lots and lots of these as decorations as people's houses. And so I got to thinking about fear and about fear of death and about fear of making a bad choice that will have lasting ramifications after death. And what was most interesting to me was that the way that religion was marketed to me was fear forward. It wasn't grace forward. If you ask any Christian what they believe in, they're going to say saved by grace. But if you look at the way that many practice, it's going to be practiced as if still in fear. And so it doesn't really, it doesn't really matter what our religious beliefs are. The fact is that if our religion encourages us to act from a sense of fear, then we need to reconsider why we have that religion. And if our religion us to act from a sense of love, then that's a religious practice that has lasting value. But when we do things because we're afraid, it's a different energy than when we do things because we are in love. And so let's do more things that are in love and less things because we are afraid. And Pepper was asking me about fear. We were talking about fear and anxiety. And she asked me, she said, how is it that you overcome fear and anxiety so quickly? And I told her, it's because in my life, I've observed that no matter what's happened, that I've had the ability to deal with it. And when I recognize that all of my, that all of the things that I've done in the past have taken me to where I am today, and that all the decisions and the choices that I've made in the past have taken me to where I am today, it gives me confidence that this new challenge that I'm facing today that I've never faced before is something that I can handle. It is something that I can, that I'm capable of figuring out, that I will survive this just like I've survived everything. And so the fact is that it's easier for me to overcome it when I just expand my perspective and realize that what I'm afraid of is typically not something that it's usually just because it's just not something I've ever done before. It's not because I can't do it. It's because I've never done it before, and I'm afraid to suck. I'm afraid to do the first thing. I'm afraid to put my work out there into the world to be to be judged by others because I'm afraid to put my first work out into the world. Now, of course, this is a foolish thing that I believe, but I still believe it, and it still exists inside of my head. And so, as I get more mature as an adult, it helps me to come to that conclusion faster. It allows me to come to the understanding and the realization that I've dealt with everything all the way. That I've dealt with the realization that I've been taken care of this entire time. Why would I expect it should stop here? I've got an unborn daughter in the house right now, and she is in the womb, and I've always wondered about babies. I've always wondered if perhaps, I mean, we know this child is alive and kicking and moving around a lot, and and I've always wondered about the unborn. If the unborn fear being born the same way that we fear dying, if the unborn fear being born because they've never been born, if the unborn have another completely different spiritual connection that we are not aware of, and that they are anxiously awaiting the day of their birth, in the same way that we, as being living people, will sometimes anxiously consider the day of our death, not because we think that by worrying that we're going to make it stop, or that we are going to put it off because who by worrying can add a single day to their life, but rather because it's an unknown. It's something that we do not know where the consciousness goes on the other side of that. In the same way that a child who is about to be born is not aware of the fullness of life that awaits them, and the sheer power that they have to be a creator on this plane of understanding. So we believe that we are transcendent collective consciousness, and that we express as human on this plane of understanding. And since we are transcendent collective consciousness, what place does worry have in our lives? What place does fear have in our lives? If we have already transcended pre-birth to birth, we can be confident, we can remain confident that we will transcend birth to death, and life to death, and that in that confidence that we have, it gives us the incredible power to live life outside of fear, to live life, and to say that life truly does begin where fear ends. That when we stopping ourselves because we're afraid of what might happen. That what might happen does happen, and it happens in a way that's better than we ever expected. Whenever I've taken a leap of faith, I have found that the net has appeared beneath me. Whenever I've taken a leap of faith, I've found that the things which I feared pretty much never came to pass. And even if they did come to pass in a little way, they grew me in a way that I was equipped to deal with them. And so on this awesome Saturday, let's just consider that life begins where fear ends. That our life, that if we try to save our life, if we try to save our life by being constantly afraid of letting life in, then we're going to lose our life. Then we're going to go to our graves having never done the thing because we were afraid of it. And so because of that, like, let's use this as a catalyst to take massive action today, to choose to be human beings on this awesome Saturday, and to recognize that we are capable of the dreams that we hold inside of our hearts. That if we weren't capable of them, then they wouldn't be in our hearts, and that we can indeed do everything that we dream up. We can do everything that we desire, and that in doing these things, we will discover that achieving those desires is not the point of life. That the point of life is the living of life. That the point of life is the playing the instrument. Nobody plays a song to get to the end. It's that when we pick up an instrument to play, we pick it up in order to get to the end of the song. That the song itself is the point. In the same way, the song that we sing while we are alive is the point. The way that we express ourselves while we are alive is the point. And insofar as our religion, whatever our religion may be, empowers us to live that life and to exist outside of fear, then and to love the people who are around us and to treat them the way that we would like to be treated ourselves. To the degree that our religion does that, then we are practicing good religion. And so let's hang out with awesome people today. Let's eat awesome food. Let's be in awesome places. Let's do awesome things. Susan says she's at Hito right now, or Hito 2. I'm sure you're having an amazing time. I sincerely hope that you are getting absolutely everything you need down there, and that if you're going to be if you're going to be away from me for a weekend, that you are having an amazing time. And so life begins where fear ends. And so let's go out today and do things, even though we are afraid of them, and just see what happens. And I think that we will all find that our lives become more actualized as a result. So thank you guys so much for being here. Good morning again to Jan and Shauna. Happy ass to you. It is the awesome Saturday service. We get some ass on Saturday. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I enjoyed saying it, and it helps me to really understand more about myself and why I do the things that I do. So thank you so much for being around for the message about life beginning where fear is ending. Good morning to Tony. Good morning to Susan. Let's see here. Oh, you guys got some pretty cool comments about this. So Shauna says, fear of ridicule is my battle. Well, fear of ridicule, I mean, where does ridicule come from? Ridicule comes from others. Ridicule comes from people who aren't us. And so if we're afraid of ridicule, what we're really afraid of is what other people think about us. And the good news about other people thinking about us is that other people don't think about us very often. Is that other people are very in tune with themselves. Other people are very self-centered. How often do you think about others versus how often do you think about yourself? And the answer is probably not all that much. And that's fine, because that's how we all operate. Nobody's going to hold it against you for thinking about yourself more than you think about others. But recognize that other people think the same way. And while they might have a passing thought about, oh, ha ha, Shauna's doing that thing, then they're not going to have a persistent thought, because it really doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, then your friends, the people who are really your friends, are going to be happy too. And the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. So the people who would ridicule will just vibrate right on out of your life, and then you will no longer have a life filled with people who ridicule you, only with people who support you. Let's see here. Susan said, I never understood God-fearing when I should love God. I know, I never understood that either, Susan. I never understood it at all, at all. In fact, and I mean, and even the way that you write your comment. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Susan is Jewish, and Jewish people do not write the name of God, or the God in writing, because the name of God is considered to be too holy to be imparted into a script. It's not the same prohibition that other Abrahamic faiths have, but it's definitely very, very common in Judaism. And one of the manifestations of fearing God in the religion is not writing down the name of God. Is just putting G star D, or G slash D, or G dash D is pretty common. And whenever I'm reading like Jewish theological books, the name of God is always rendered that way, unless they're using like the Tetragrammaton or something, the YVYH. But anyways, I never understood being God fearing and also God loving. I guess for me, there, Susan, the way that I've kind of come into an understanding is being, well, God is, and that's all that needs to be said. And thus, anything that I could ascribe to God, I could ascribe in an infinite way. And so, if God is infinitely all of these things, it is equally as meaningless to me as God being none of all of these things, because the fact is that it's unfathomable to me. And so, in the end, I just appreciate the parts of God that I can lay a hold of from my own very limited understanding. And I just appreciate the revealing, I guess, which has happened in my world, which is as a direct result of simply being dedicated to being here, and inviting that presence into my life. Tony says, I fear boredom. That's a pretty common one, Tony. But you know what boredom really is? Boredom comes when we're not on purpose. When we're doing something and it's not on purpose, it creates boredom. It's not that tedium is boredom. Like, I have a puzzle right behind me. Puzzles in many cases can be quite tedious. You kind of stare at the pieces until you figure out where they go. Or you pick up a piece and then you methodically look at the board to see where it could go. Tedium is not necessarily boredom. Tedium can actually be very relaxing, as it is for me when I do a puzzle. But boredom is when we're not on purpose. When we're not living on purpose. When we're doing something just to be going through the motions to do it, that's boredom. And so, and yeah, and when we're bored, we're not living. So I can understand why you are afraid of boredom. Just and the antidote to boredom is just making sure that everything that you're doing is on purpose. All right, so I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Love the awesome Saturday service this morning. Thank you all for showing up. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go have an awesome Saturday, and I encourage you to have an awesome Saturday as well. So we will be back on Monday at 9 a.m. with more of the wake up call. Pepper will continue to be making these cards, which I'm very excited about. And then yeah, and so I will see you at Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, I love you. I appreciate you. I think you're amazing. Let's go have an awesome Saturday. Let's go hang out with awesome people, and let's remember that we are transcendent collective consciousness. That consciousness expresses through me and through you as well, and that we share this awareness right now. And what a beautiful thing that is. So let's go treat the other people around us as if they also are descended from the divine, just as we are. And I will talk to you on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, I love you. I appreciate you. I care about you. I think that you're awesome and amazing. And I'll talk to you at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.